All right. Well, we're going to open with the pledge as soon as that tornado siren finishes up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fiscal Officer, can you call the roll?
Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger.
Here.
There.
Here.
Correct. Then Township Administrator. Sierra, Chief of Police. See you. Okay. Chief of Fire.
Here.
Superintendent of Public Works.
Here.
Okay.
Here.
Our next meeting is going to be November 4th at 12 p.m. And I am going to make a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility. I'll second.
Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes. Yes. And I'm going to make a motion for the approval of the September 16th meeting minutes.
I'll second. And I will also apologize that I didn't realize the minutes were attached to Deb's email, so I just need another minute to get through them here.
Okay.
There is one typo of the date in the first paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I'm aware of.
I think I'd just like to add a sentence to the paragraph about the no parking signs, which I can send to you, but for purposes of conversation, if everybody's okay with it, I'd like to just add that there was general agreement that Superintendent Flagg could decide about future parking signs on getting input from the other department heads, keeping in mind the board's general wish to keep the number of signs at a minimum. I think that was really kind of what came out of that conversation, was that we don't need to have that before the board every time. I'll just send you that sentence, Deb, if that sounds okay to everyone.
That's what I was. Sounds fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so with one typo and that sentence, are we ready for the roll call? Okay, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes.
Yes. And then we're going to move on to number 6, discussion of community support advocate.
I didn't know if you wanted to bump up the presentation or not.
Of course, we can go for that. We're going to move on to a presentation from Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District on stormwater management by Dave Reuter and Nathan Rowell.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Doesn't look like doesn't look like Nathan's getting on here yet, so I'm not sure what he's going to do. But
I actually received a decline from Nathan, so I don't think he'll be joining us.
Sounds good. I think I can cover what he needs to cover. So welcome to Stormwater Awareness Week, by the way. This is actually Stormwater Awareness Week. A couple of things that we look to townships to do for us is that public participation involvement aspect of the permit, the stormwater permit. And this is our yearly opportunity to talk to the townships and our co-permittees on our county permit about stormwater and some of those requirements. So the Stormwater Awareness Week is kind of our attempt to coalesce the outreach to everybody. You know, if you're going to do some stormwater outreach, this is the time of year to do it, is to get that recognized Stormwater Awareness Week. That way we can all kind of coalesce and get a bigger messaging out there. So I encourage you to do that. If you do that, we've had townships where they put it out on their sign out in front of the township hall or things like that. Take a picture of that, send it to me. You know, that would that's something that we'll report back in our annual report. We publish articles in a monthly schedule for you to use in your newsletters. Feel free to use those any time of year, but this Stormwater Awareness Week is a way that if you didn't remember to do that throughout the year, this is the time to do it when we can all get that broad messaging going and out there. So I encourage you to participate in that as we go forward. We have a new permit. The old one expired in September. There's a draft out, and it will be coming out here shortly. We're expecting by the first of the year. That shouldn't change too much what townships do. One thing that's coming up is performance standards and kind of documenting those performance standards. And this is where recognizing Stormwater Week will be an important thing for you guys to consider, because then we do that, we get that messaging there, and our messaging, the monthly messaging that goes out directly goes to some of those TMDL performance standards that we have. So again, I encourage you to use that information as you see fit. I guess I'll try to cover Nathan's part. He's with public health and deals mostly with the home sewage treatment systems and illicit discharges to the storm system. So if you ever have any problems that you recognize, particularly with staff in the field, and you're seeing discharges, dry weather flows that are discharging, when it hasn't rained, feel free to call either one of us on that. That's something that we keenly want to know about and take care of if we can, or at least get it reported to the right people. So that I know he would cover in his outreach. As far as any staff training that needs to happen, I'll be hosting webinars in the next coming weeks covering the minimum control measures. I think November 12th we'll have the MCM6, which is the good housekeeping. So if you have staff that needs good housekeeping training, please go to our district website and you can register there. We're asking that you register so we can track contact hours for you again in the reporting for the annual reporting. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them, but that's about all I have. I appreciate your time and look forward to working more with you in the future. Thanks.
Dave, before you leave, Dave, where can we find the performance standards? Is there just a link you can send us or something for those?
So right now the new permit is in a draft form. I have a red line version that shows the changes that are occurring there. Okay. And it's mixed throughout the permit language. Like I say, a lot of it is more on the back end and on the management side of it, where we might need to address some of our themes to address some of that information. So I don't think there's much that the townships will be affected by.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
You bet. Yep, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Now we're going to move on to number 6. Go first. Community support advocate.
Yeah, I've been just sort of having singular conversations and thought it would be an opportunity for the board to simply have a conversation about whether this is an idea we want to explore further in some way. That idea being that we consider looking at a position for a person who would serve the community in social worker kinds of roles yet to be defined. They could support, I believe, both police and fire departments in terms of following up with cases and intervening and providing that kind of support. So that I guess the process in my mind, I'm wondering if we want to get a sort of an action team or a work team committee type organism together to maybe work on this, present a proposal for the board to consider by way of a job description. And I just wanted to take the temperature really of the other two trustees about whether that's something that we might want to consider in the future, or if we should just, if I should just keep thinking about it myself and forget about it, or if that's something that, anybody else has an interest in working on.
So I too have had some conversations here within the last couple of months with both chiefs about something like this as well. I am totally on board for looking at how this should be rolled out or what this may look like if we do decide to go with something like that.
I think it's a great idea. I wouldn't mind helping with my social work background. I think that I might be able to give some good insight, but I think that's the beautiful thing about social work is a social worker can be almost like a one-stop shop person. Someone who has all the community resources, knows other people, can do connections and whatnot. So I think it's a great idea.
Well, I'll invite the chiefs to say whatever they like here too, but I'll just say that in the department head meeting yesterday, there was already a lot of brainstorming going on, a lot of people just sort of wondering about this or that. So I think it would be great, Jessica, if you feel like you could maybe kind of be the person to take that team a little further and see what there is to be seen about a job description and framing this idea for us a little bit more so that we can maybe have something actionable at some point here in the future. Does anybody else want to talk about the question at all?
Yeah, I think as far as the police side, and me and Brian have both had discussion before we brought this to some of the board members. But I think it would be a great thing for our community. I know we utilize the Franklin County Sheriff's Office and Net Care Resources. They're going to be adding a couple of those positions, but I think here in the township and really both sides of the township with the older population Brian's talked about, our addiction and mental health calls that we go on as far as the police department, that could alleviate some of our time where we could spend turning that over to a caseworker, social worker that could do the follow-up that would get our folks back on the street and yet assist us as well in dealing with the chronic issues we run into with some folks.
I agree. I think it would drastically help us out in the community with our senior residents. Those that need resources don't know where to get those resources and just need that connection. And like Chief Jen said, the mental health and addiction side of that also would be a big benefit for both departments.
Great. Well, I think it's an exciting idea to consider, so I'm glad that there's support for finding out more about it at the very least. I appreciate that on everybody's part. I guess I'll just utilize flexibility for just a second while we're on kind of personnel related issues and just also advise the board that yesterday we also started talking about sort of just fine tuning and re-looking at the job description for the information specialist. And I just asked department heads to throw some input into that document. So what we'll probably do is hopefully by the next meeting, bring something to the board for consideration about some tweaks on that particular. There's a lot of stuff in there that was, I think, more internal than external, and some things that we've seen now that we've had someone in the position that where we may have some better ideas about that. So I'll be working on that piece, and we'll all be working on that piece and bringing that to you next time. That's all. Thanks.
All right. We're going to move on to committee team reports. So our free produce market is this Friday at 3820 Cleveland Avenue. We're doing it drive-through style from 4 to 6 p.m. It's very important that you follow the directions on the post that is up for viewing on the fire department Facebook page and social media outlets. To enter off of Elmore towards Brandon and come down the back way through the back of the station and through. And that's 4 to 6 p.m. this Friday. no zip code restrictions, no income guidelines. Come one, come all. Anything I'm missing there, Chief Fraley?
No, just talking about last market, we had 102 families. We did have quite a bit of produce at the market, so we did have some leftovers. Trustee Sword was able to contact another organization called the Rescuing Cuisine, and they were able to come over and pick all of those leftovers up the next day. And they were taken to an organization at 22nd and Cleveland Avenue. So all the leftovers were distributed. So everything was used up well.
Yes, a big thank you to Rescuing Leftover Cuisine, and that the organization that it went to at 22nd Cleveland was Columbus Food Not Bombs. It was directly distributed Saturday morning. So all good use.
I will just mention, I know it came up before, some people pulled up off of Brandon with the gate being open, and the sign said do not enter. If it was between 4 and 6, if the gate's open, if you're there for produce, don't let the sign stop you.
Yeah, follow the cones. Just drive the orange pylons.
We should have those covered up this time. So
Perfect.
Real quick, Corey, did we get the back gate fixed?
Yes, the gate company was here just about an hour ago. And they did a preventive maintenance on it, and they found a couple small issues that could have been causing the malfunction, but everything should be good now.
Okay, very good.
All okay, Trustee Sword? I have should update you a little bit about building committee. We have been dealing with an ongoing issue with our linoleum flooring, as you all know, and have received a letter from the subcontractor, the general contractor, regarding some strategies for replacement, but he is unwilling to bear the full burden of the cost himself. It's not our view, of course, that we should be bearing any of that cost. And essentially what we're looking at, I think, is that some contractors need to start talking to each other about who's working with who and who worked for who, between the architect and the project manager, the contractor and the subcontractor who laid the flooring. There needs to be a conversation. So we've certainly done a lot of due diligence with this and put a lot of time and effort into these conversations. And I think it's probably time that we consider having an attorney write a letter on our behalf to spur that process along a little bit more. So I think you saw the letter in an email last week, and it's our recommendation that we go ahead and speak now. And this would involve Attorney Lafayette, because he is more about litigation than our attorney team that we normally use. So because it's a little bit different, I just wanted to bring it here as a recommendation. Mr. Huffman's going to have an actual motion regarding it in a minute. Were there any other questions that we need to talk about it now about, or I guess we can discuss the motion too? But that's the update. Thank you.
Any other committee team reports? I'm going to move on to Township Administrator Huffman.
And again, I apologize for the live feed not working. Up the next couple of weeks, I'll be making sure all the access I have is what's needed in order to do this. I think I've been receiving some messages either through Facebook or emails asking about that. So I just want to apologize to everyone up front. We are recording this meeting that will be uploaded, I believe, to the YouTube channel as well. So moving on, number one is request a PO in the amount of $3,785.01 payable to Corson Fires and Security for alarm repair, paid from line item 1000-120-323.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes.
Yes.
Then I'm going to, or we're going to move on to number 2, Mr. Huffman.
We will request a motion to submit administrator's name to represent Clinton Township on MORPC, or the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission's Transportation Advisory Committee. They're looking for representation, so I'd like to submit on behalf of the township my name to sit on that.
Perfect. I'm going to request a motion to submit Administrator Matt Huffman to represent Clinton Township on MORP Transportation Advisory Committee.
I'll second.
Trustee Jesberger, trustee Sierra, trustee Sword.
Yes.
Now, there's no guarantee I'll get a seat, but at least I'll get the name out there to try to help represent the township. The last is what we were just talking about from the last committee report, is to request a motion to engage the services of Paul Lafayette for a township building and construction matter from line item 1000-110-310.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Sierra, I'm sorry, trustee Jesberger, trustee Sierra, trustee Sword.
Yes.
Yes.
I do have a few other things, if I can just maybe mention them real quick. Lately, we've been getting a lot of calls regarding local waste services, the trash contractor. They are coming to the township. It's best if residents contact local waste directly for those questions, because we don't really have access to their systems and everything. So if you have a trash related concern, contact local waste services directly. If you're not getting the response you think you should, then by all means reach out to us and we'll assist as needed in regards to that. A couple things just on road studies that we discussed the last time. It was about the stop sign changing on Dresden and Case, I think it was. And then there was discussion about what about the other stop signs along Dresden. Did receive a response back from the county engineer's office saying that they really need to do counts on those intersections to determine which direction flow of traffic is heavier. And based off that is really determining where the stop signs should be placed. So if it's okay with the trustees, I'll ask them to take a look at the other intersections there to see if any other stop signs need to be changed as well.
Absolutely.
And last but not least, I guess there's been a long discussion about Walford and Elmore. The stop signs, the stoplights, everything along there. The latest I received, and I believe I sent this email to the trustees as well, it had a diagram of collisions at that intersection over the last 5 years. They also performed the requested signal warrant, but the volume at this intersection only meets that warrant 1 hour out of the day. But they supposedly do have some potential low-cost countermeasures, which the engineer's office is happy to discuss. So if trustees are okay with that, I'll reach out to them to find out what those countermeasures might be and see what the effectiveness is, what cost might be involved, and I'll bring that forward to a future meeting.
Yeah, yes, please.
Please do.
Mr. Huffman, I just want to make sure I heard you right. You said they did a study of collisions.
Correct.
So okay, and they measured the amount of traffic, and they're saying we don't have enough traffic to warrant getting a street light again.
Correct, except for 1 hour out of the day.
Mm-hmm. And then they're going to bring forward some other traffic calming measures we can consider.
I'll reach out to them to inquire what those measures might be, what that might entail, and if there's potential cost for that.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Fire Chief Fraley.
I had no business listed, but I do have one item. Yesterday, I was notified by Roberta Old that the UVCA is planning to host a Halloween party on Saturday the 31st from 2:30 to 5:30 in the park on the west side. Had some conversation with her, just advising her of the situation with having gatherings, more than 10 people, the fact that Franklin County has moved back into the red and our numbers are going up. However, it sounds like they still may try to have this event. So I just wanted to advise the board of that information and let everyone know.
Thank you. Just to put it out there again, I know it's information that probably sounds like a broken record, but with trick or treat and events like this that happened last year that probably shouldn't happen this year, just keep in mind to use best practices. If it's highly advised against because numbers are going through the roof in the state of Ohio, probably shouldn't happen. Social distancing, wearing a mask. Please follow the CDC and the state Department of Health recommendations. Gatherings are not recommended at all right now. I know that people are probably getting tired of COVID, and it's seems never ending, but it's very important that we all stay healthy.
Yeah, the CDC is actually listing recommendations for Halloween activities, and we had kind of gone over those in the last meeting that are medium and high risk, which are gatherings for parties and handing out candy and trunk or treats are all considered high risk possible exposure events. So just hoping people take that into mind and stay safe.
Yeah, I just want to throw out, this year, the police department, typically every year we've handed out candy from the cruisers, just so everybody's on the same page. Because of that, we will not be doing that this year. We will be patrolling the streets, but we will not be interacting or handing out candy.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to police. Chief Jones?
Yeah, I didn't have any items for business, just a couple notifications. Myself and Sergeant McCoy finished up our FBI LEADA Executive Command School. We both completed all those courses. So they gave us nice certificates. We're getting mounted and some trinkets to put on there. It's a big accomplishment. We've also just completed Monday and Tuesday. I know I brought this up, I think, in our last meeting about firearms qualifications. We were able to secure the Franklin County Training Academy for the last 2 days, so we completed our mandated 16 hours in-service training for that. So we are all up to par for the year, knock on wood. Like to thank all of our officers. It was kind of short notice to get everybody together on the same page, but everybody came through. So.
Awesome, thank you.
And I hate to bring this up. I just received a little notice on my screen that says the meeting will end for all participants in 5 minutes. So I'm not sure what that's about.
Uh-oh.
Luckily, we don't have a whole lot on the agenda.
All right. We're gonna move on to public works. Quick leave, Superintendent Flagg.
I didn't have any business for the meeting. I'd just like to remind residents that this week was the last week for brush collection. Next week we will start leaf pickup. And I would like to notify the board that I completed my sunshine law training yesterday.
Oh, good for you.
Excellent. All right, any very quick appreciations out there?
I do actually very quickly, and unfortunately I wanted to take a little more time with this, but I'm just grateful to Mr. Huffman this week. He's been reviewing contracts, and I think residents deserve to know he's already saved the township money with things like the local waste services at our complex looking at the exterminator contract, Cintas. He's been involved with doing a lot of just stuff that slips through the cracks, and I really appreciate that. And this week, the work with the county engineer on our favorite intersection, and that one is really close to my heart. So thank you.
Yes. All right, we are going to move on to other items. Anybody have anything else before I make a motion to move into executive session under 121.22G2 to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property at competitive bidding, or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property.
I'll second.
Trustee Jesberger, trustee Sarah, trustee Thor.
Yes.
I think all department heads can go. Mr. Huffman is going to stick around with us.
Okay.
And if we lose the feed,
I'll follow up.
okay,
And again, I apologize to residents.
we'll figure it out.